Welcome to this chapter of the St. Andrew Society of Detroit's Oral History Project. This project was the undertaking of the Charles S. Lowe Memorial Library Committee to capture members' recollections of the society. Recorded in January 2018, these are the memories of Ron Cunningham, current vice chair of the Board of Trustees and organizer of the tug of war at the Highland Games.
Well, let's start at the beginning. I think the idea, I came upon the scene here in 2004. I had retired and had come back to Michigan from Florida, and throughout my entire life I've been seeking to find my Scottish roots, and came upon a notice about the Highland Games and came to a meeting, and at that meeting we were talking about events and adding things. I suggested maybe that tug of war would be fun to watch at the games. They said, that's a wonderful idea. You're chairman. And that was 14 years ago, and we've added another event to the Highland Games, which I think people accept and enjoy. Everybody that's done tug of war, if you've been in the Boy Scouts or if you've been in actually elementary school, in the playground, they recognize tug of war. They may not recognize tossing the caber, but they do know about pulling on a rope, and there's some very simple rules. And we've attracted a number of teams from the Livonia Firemen, the Detroit Police, the Dark Angels professional women's football team, and the roller derby girls that come out to entertain the people. And it's been something I've enjoyed. It's a great deal of work, but it's one of those things that overlaps the other things that I do. The games are an all-year commitment. From the last games to the next games, you're always planning. And we try to keep that going because the people enjoy it. What we call our staycation over at Greenmead for the Highland Games. Yet folks could come out and spend a great Saturday and have a great time and learn about Scottish culture. And that's one of the reasons I was attracted to the organization.
Your other positions, Ron, where are you involved with the club currently and some of your responsibilities?
Well, I'm a vice chairman of the Board of Trustees, and I work with Jerry Beasley to maintain we're responsible for the building and grounds, the rental of the building. We're trying to maintain income so that we can keep the business open, and also that we get the bills paid in a timely manner because our reputation's at stake there. And I also maintain the grounds outside with the planting of the volunteers that have donated plants over the years to maintain the look of the place.
Tell me about those plants.
Well, we've had people that donated lilies, and we've had, of course, I plant sunflowers, and we have a number of others that go in and out based on the season. So I just planted a couple hundred tulip bulbs for next spring. So we want to make sure there's color in the spring, and that the other flowers that are summer flowers come in to fill in that gap for about 3 months, and then the fall flowers so that we have color out front up until frost, because everything goes at frost.
Is there not some sort of Scottish plants planted out front?
We have heather that was donated, because heather was the national flower of Scotland. We have a Harry Lauder's walking stick, which is a tree, basically. It's a hazelnut bush that they found in a hedgerow in Scotland back in about 1900. When they saw it, it was all contorted, and they said, that looks like Harry Lauder's walking stick. And the name stuck, and we have those out front. We have also a tag explaining it. We have in the area a Scotch pine in the back, and a number of items with English ivy around the front.
Do you like the English ivy?
Actually, we're going to start pulling it up because it's invasive. Maybe there's a parallel here in history.
Silly English, right?
Because it starts to take over the other plants.
Just briefly, tell me a little bit about the responsibilities and upkeep of the building, this beautiful Kilgore.
Well, I do a great deal of time here, again, trying to catch up, make sure that the trash is picked up, and the pine cones don't block the drain in the auxiliary parking lot so we don't have a lake. And the idea also is to try to add what color we can. And we have a plan, what I call a Michigan meadow out front, because it's whatever comes in and starts to flower. So we want to work on adding more color, which is natural to the area, which also doesn't require a great deal of maintenance.
Let me ask you this, Ron. Having a center like this, how has that benefited St. Andrew Society of Detroit?
Oh my gosh. I was attracted to the organization before they had a building. And we had a business office over in Southfield, and we had our meetings over at the Commonwealth Club on DeQuinder and Warren. And things were all scattered about, and they were sort of disoriented. And I knew that the old St. Andrew's Hall had been closed years ago, and that had been the center for over 100 years. And we were missing that cohesiveness where people could come on a regular basis. I helped in the search for the building. We took about 2 years almost to look at places where we could afford to purchase, first of all, and renovate in order to use it for our purposes. And it turns out the old Mountain Jack's restaurant here was perfect, which was basically a Mountain Jack theme and turned it into Scottish, because we kept the fireplaces and the wooden beams. And we actually reduced the size of the bar and the kitchen and added a boardroom and classroom and a magnificent library in here, which is all done. And even the boardroom chairs were donated. So this is the work of a lot of folks who come to help out. And we kind of live the motto of the St. Andrew's Society, which is to ease the distressed. And that's what I was impressed about, because everything we have here allows us to do some outreach to the community, to explaining the traditions. We have ladies here that do the teaching Highland dance, and we have our pipe and drum band that can teach piping and drumming, and teaching the kids as they start little and grow up to understand the traditions of Scotland. And with the library, people are doing the research. So it's all done by folks who, first of all, love the society and want to learn more about their heritage. And that's the reason I came, because I suck up information from this organization. And it's something that I get a great deal of satisfaction from. And I get excited. The threads, the Scottish influence throughout history, throughout music, it's amazing to me the impact that the people from this little pile of rocks has had throughout the world, throughout history. As a matter of fact, one of the other things I did here is, in working with the library committee, I put together a scrapbook of great Scots. I found anyone that had a drop of Scottish blood or were notable for either doing good things or, in some cases like Captain Kidd and Butch Cassidy, not so great things. But they were Scots and they were notable, and they went into the Great Scots scrapbook. And folks have put out 6 volumes. They're bound now and available for people to come in. It's alphabetical. And they could look at what Scots have done, from bringing tea out of China and from being the first European to be in Mexico, the first Scot going back to 1530. And it's amazing what they've done throughout the world, and just the impact in science and literature, music, education. And they keep popping up, the names throughout history. I'm excited about it.
Ron, you're very much excited about it. What would you say to people maybe in their late mid-20s, 30s, maybe they're thinking about becoming members or checking out St. Andrew's Society of Detroit, or they are just presently new members? Why is it important to them, and why should they be involved with the society?
Well, first of all, if you're not involved, you're missing out. There's so many things that are going on around you, because there's certain layers of things that we're doing. Planning for the games at some point. We're planning for 7 fish fries coming up during Lent. And there are activities going on. The St. Andrew's Night in November. We have Robert Burns' birthday in January. And then we have Tartan Day in April. These are the official celebrations. And every month we have an event with one of our charities coming in and displaying what we do with the money that we raise. And what I find is important, that everything we raise, we give away. And the idea that young people can come in and give us the manpower we need, because we need 350 people to run the games, all volunteers. And over the week it's built up, and on Friday they have this crescendo of activity, and on Sunday afternoon by about noon, it's all gone. They put it all back. Every leaf is picked up, every piece of paper. Everything goes back in the trailer, waiting for the next year's activity. And they've done this for 167 years. And that's the thing that amazed me for the young people, is that they're part of something that's been around a long time. But it's evolving, and it has to bring in new people to see what they want to get out of it.
Ron, I understand that. Oh, a couple of people have commented that years ago, some of the meetings down at the old St. Andrew's Hall of Detroit were kind of stodgy, kind of stuffy. How would you characterize the whole event of a monthly meeting here at the Kilgore Center? Is it stodgy, or?
Oh, good Lord, no. They have music, and we have, as a matter of fact, we have a volunteer trio that comes in and plays music during the meal, and they're there to learn about what activities are going on, and there's a whole series of reports on what's happening in the outside the building and things that people can be involved in, and the idea that they can absorb a lot of information. And of course they pick and choose. Nobody can do everything. It's too much going on here. It'll make you crazy trying to catch up with everything. But you pick your spots, and you work with the people that you enjoy working with, and nobody gets paid. here. I mean, in the membership. And it has to be attractive and enjoyable, or people will walk away.
Over the years, it sounds like from the days of the old St. Andrew's Society Hall in Detroit to here at the beautiful Kilgore Center in Troy, Michigan, that the attendance and the involvement at the meetings has grown significantly.
Absolutely. The neat thing I think about this society is that the St. Andrew's Society of Detroit is one of two St. Andrew's Societies nationwide that have their own building. And the other one, of course, is Chicago Scots, and their meetings take place in their retirement building. They have a retirement for Scottish people over there, so it's a business operation that's ongoing, and the Chicago Scots can use the facilities there for their meetings. People drive by out here and they want to know what the St. Andrew's Society is about. And this is a magnet for getting folks in. First of all, we have a website where they can come in and check on, and if they start clicking, they find all the areas that are available. The beauty is, if you don't get active, you miss out. And a lot of people that have come and gone never really connected because they didn't lend a hand. If you start working for different committees, you will stick around. Talk about stodgy, things have changed over the years. For the first 100 years of its existence, the St. Andrew's Society was men only. And then they opened the doors to women, and they noticed things that they brought skills and they brought new life to it, and they expanded our imprint, our brand, our footprint throughout the community. And, we've got 450 members. We've done research. We know that there are at least 250,000 people in the 5-county area of Scotch descent. So we haven't scratched the surface. And we are the oldest non-sectarian charity in Michigan. But we've stuck around because we provide a service. We make a difference. We need to bring in new life, a new generation, because some of us are getting a little long in the tooth. But it keeps me young because I get things on a daily basis that reactivate my interest in the Scottish culture. I'm steeped in it. I'm finding things that I would never have known otherwise. I came out where our people came from, in Ayrshire, in Scotland. We also know that the things I read about in high school with the old alliance with England and France against the English, and I read about that in high school history. But then I came here and learned about the chateau in Cherbourg, France, which was built by Robert de Cunningham, who was a captain of the Scottish Guard that protected the King of France. These people were there for 300 years. In 1470, he came in and built a castle in Cherbourg, France, which still exists. I visited there 6 years ago and spent the night in the ghost room. Now, this is something that I may be faintly aware of at some point, but I found a connection through my family that it was a part of, in a small way, a piece of history. And at the Battle of Orleans, when Joan of Arc defeated the English, there were Scottish knights there, 1,000 of them, on the French side. And there were Cunninghams there because Mr. Radien, that owns the chateau today, called me. As a matter of fact, he emailed. He said he was watching a French movie, and there was Joan of Arc talking to the troops, and he recognized these Cunningham coat of arms on the shield of one of the characters in the movie, and he got all excited. So he called, and emailed me to tell me that he had seen the Cunningham coat of arms in a movie that was made in France about Joan of Arc.
Why somebody, again, should consider joining the society? One last shot. What would you
Well, I would think fellowship is the main thing because we have folks that care. They care about each other, and they're always there to lend a hand. The idea that we live our motto, ease the distressed, and we're asking people to give some time, and I guarantee you that what you will get in return is tenfold.
This presentation of the St. Andrew's Society of Detroit's Oral History Project was produced by Van Rohr for the St. Andrew's Society of Detroit's Library Committee under the direction of Dennis Clements, current chairperson, and Shelby Brown Rohr, current St. Andrew's Society of Detroit's communication director. This project celebrates the 169th year of the St. Andrew's Society of Detroit. Salante.